Yeah, we were waiting for you guys to start.
Oh, that's it.
Qué vale.
Bahía.
No está muy bien. Son ya la mayoría.
Pero Paul estamos.
Sí.
Ya murió, ya. Ya murió.
Roberto. Sí, pues del viejo. Roberto, ¿qué era banquera?
Tengo mucho no verlos. Entonces, sí.
Conocí a Roberto, a Rogelio, a Billy, toda la familia chica. Good morning. We want to welcome you this morning to the Drainage District Board of Directors meeting for today, December the 18th, 2012. President are Commissioner Palacios, Precinct 2, Palacios, Precinct 4, and myself. We have a quorum. Is there anything under open forum?
No, sir.
Our consent agenda, any concerns?
No concerns, Judge.
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4,
Item 4, request approval to authorize financing team to proceed with the preparation of the financing plan for the sale of the first phase of the proposed Hidalgo County Drainage Number 1 bond program of $84 million. Judge, Commissioners, we have a presentation here of our First Southwest to present to the board the scheduling or the calendar for the upcoming sales. Chris?
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, staff. My name is Chris Vela with First Southwest Company. With me today is Ann Berger, also with First Southwest Company, financial advisors to the district. I'll point you out to the table of contents on page 1, where we've prepared a market update, some historical data, a summary and a recap of the capital improvements program, some preliminary financing scenarios. And I say preliminary because until such time as we get into the actual closer date of financing, that we will fine-tune that as we go along. And of course, on page 22, what we want to discuss, which is the preliminary timetable. The first line item is on December the 18th, which is today, where the board directs the district staff and consultants to move forward with the preparation of the Series 03 bond sale. That is the offering documents, preliminary official statement, and any other documents that are related to the sale of these bonds. Now, the week of January the 22nd, what we will be doing is scheduling the bond rating and disclosure council due diligence, if applicable, and conference calls and meetings to get all of that going. Hopefully by February the 1st, we should get a confirmation or affirmation on the district's ratings. And we're scheduling a competitive bond sale to be advertised in the marketplace sometime in February 4th. And we want to make sure that we retain some flexibility on that particular date to adjust for market conditions at the time. The bids would be due on February the 11th, and the pricing of the series of the 13 bonds. And then we were hoping to have the sale hopefully on the same day, so we may want to do a little bit of scheduling in advance to have that done. And of course, we will deliver about 30 days later or on March the 12th.
Great. Judge, if I may.
Yes.
What is the market looking like at this point?
Okay. Ann can give you a very good summary of what the market is looking at. Amber?
Good morning. If I may ask you in the presentation to please turn to slide number 3, I'll be happy to give you a quick update as to what we have going on in the markets.
What page?
Slide 3.
3?
Page 3. If you're all there, on slide 3, what we are showing is called the Bond Buyers Index of 20 municipal bonds. And this is not the exact rate that we expect the drainage district would get, but we believe that this is an excellent barometer of what's going on in response to your question. And right now, the current rate is a 3.44. And if we go back and not only look for the period that this goes back to 1993, but the number that we have here is 17 basis points, or less than 1/4% of what represents a low for a 47-year period. And so when we look at the market that we are approaching in order to have the competitive sale for the bonds, we are truly in a market that is, like I said, within about 25 basis points of a 47-year low from an interest rate perspective.
Does a 30-year versus 20-year make any kind of a difference?
Yes, sir, Judge, that's an excellent question. And if I may ask you to just, if you can just turn to the next page. What we're showing on this page are tax-exempt yields where they are now, one month ago, 6 months ago, and 1 year ago. And one of the things that you can see is that although we are in a very low interest rate environment, we are in a relatively steep yield curve, which means that there is a difference between a 20-year and a 30-year. This is a dynamic number. These interest rates are changing quite a bit.
Is 30-year higher or lower?
30 years is higher.
How much higher?
Well, depending on the particular market at the time, you're talking about 25 to 35 basis points. But again, as Mr. Vela said, that is a number that is changing. As we have seen the markets get so low, we're having what's called compression.
The 25 basis points equals how much in interest?
That, let me,
What?
1/4%.
Okay.
you want to go? You know, one of the things, just, it might be easiest just to show you, because we've done a summary of that analysis, Judge. If you can please turn to page 13. That's the best part.
That's the best way.
On page 13, we have 3 different scenarios. The first scenario is a 25-year term. The second scenario is 19, and the third is 20. Judge, we do not have a 30-year, but we hope that the difference between the 20 and the 25 will give you an indication, and then we can do the additional analysis to go to 30. But 5 years addition on the yield curve, as you can see, it would be the difference between about 124 million to about 129 million total principal and interest to have an additional 5 years between 20 and 25, and we think that there would be about that same difference to go from 25 to 30.
So we're looking at about a $10 million difference between the 20 and the 30?
Yes, sir, and that's in today's market. As Chris said, we have been seeing, although rates are very, very low right now, we have been seeing an awful lot of movement in the yield curve, and there are 2 influences that are going on. Back in September, the Fed authorized what they're calling the quantitative easing round 3. They call it QE3, and since that point in time, the Fed has been purchasing $40 billion of mortgage securities every month. The Fed just announced another round of where they are going to be purchasing $45 billion a month, in addition to the $40 billion a month, where they're going to be purchasing treasuries and agencies. And since that's going to be a little bit further out on the yield curve, and that program's getting ready to start, we do think that the difference between the 20-year and the 30-year is going to change, but we are continuing to monitor that, and as we get closer to the actual bond sale, we will let you know exactly what that difference is in the numbers.
All right.
Chris, if you're always forecasting as to the interest rate, what is your projected I realize you cannot give me a concrete answer on it, but based on what is the estimated?
The numbers, if you look at that same page that Ms. Berger was referring to, look at the true interest costs that we're using there for scenario 1, for scenario 2, and for scenario 3.
At this point in time, we are projecting, if we were to have issued the bonds on 12/13, these numbers are as of 12/13, we expect the interest rate to be somewhere between 3.25% to 3.45%, depending on the ultimate structure that the Commissioners Court through the Drainage District Board makes the determination and gives us guidance to proceed with.
What's the difference between the debt structures on the 25 and the 20? Wraparound and level DS.
Yes, sir. What the level debt does is it just assumes level payment for the entire 25 years that the debt is outstanding. What the 2 wraparound
I'm
structures...
sorry, explain that again a little louder.
Yes, sir. Scenario 1 assumes that the bonds would be issued in a manner so that for 25 years, you would have exactly equal payments within $5,000. What Scenario 2 and Scenario 3 endeavor to do is we actually shorten the bond issue to 19 and 20 years, and we take advantage of wrapping around the existing debt that the Drainage District has outstanding. So we have lower principal on the front end where the debt is outstanding, and we have more principal on the back end. But what we've been careful to do is to watch what the average life of the transaction is so that we can be mindful of that as we think about it from the way that the rating agencies are going to view this. We don't want to push it out so far that there's any concern. And what you will see is that even though we are wrapping around your existing debt, the average life of Scenario 2 and Scenario 3 is shorter than the 25-year level debt. So we believe that that would be positively viewed by the rating agencies.
All right, what existing debt do we have that you're going to be wrapping around?
You want to just go to that one? Yes, sir. If you can go, if you will look on page 10, this shows the existing debt that the drainage district has outstanding, and we show it, the blue is the principal, the kind of orange color is interest, and at this point in time, just for purposes of illustration, it's approximately $8 million a year, and it goes out at that level through 2027, and then it drops to $6 million a year in 2028.
Those are the payments. What about the amount?
On the previous page, we show the amount outstanding, and it's approximately $86,410,000.
Let me make sure I understand it. You're going to be taking money that our debt that we presently have, and you're going to be adding what we want to borrow, and you're going to be wrapping it around to have a total of what now? If we're going to borrow 84, and how much more are we going to be wrapping around?
If you, for example, if you could please turn to slide or to page number 18. This is one of our wrap scenarios, and what this shows you is the blue highlights the existing debt that the drainage district has outstanding, and that orange color shows the proposed debt and the proposed structure. So you can see that we have it minimized on the front end through 2027 and 2028 when most of that pays off, and then we just sort of fill in on the back end so that the total principal and interest on the back end of this is equal to what the total principal and interest is on your existing debt as well as the proposed debt. And if you'd like to see what it looks like if you just have level debt, if you want to turn to 2 pages before that on page 16, you can see what level debt scenario looks like.
So your debt service is going to double?
I'm sorry?
Question, is the debt service going to double from 14 to 15?
Yes, sir.
From 13 to 14?
It's in the level debt scenario, it's going to go for, it's not going to double in a
Well,
total
go from
principal
8
and
to
interest.
13?
It'll go, yes, sir, it'll go from about 8 million up to about 13.5 million. Yes, sir.
So the tax rate will be affected by how much? Have you figured that out?
Yes, sir. At this point in time, we have been very conservative in our assumptions, and we believe that this will have an approximate 2.4 penny increase on the tax rate.
So it's going from where to where?
The existing tax rate we have on, should I show them this one? The existing tax rate that you have is shown on page 9.
What is it?
It is right now, for your debt service, it's approximately 2.96 pennies. So it'll be, the amount that the INS tax rate will go up is it will go up 2.4 in addition to the already 2.96 that is in place.
So it's going from 2.9 to 5 point something?
5.3?
It's there on the 2.4.
Yes, sir. It'll go to about 5.3 to 5.4 pennies, depending on which scenario.
So it's almost going to double, basically? More or
Yes,
less?
sir.
And our total debt service that we have as a drainage district is what?
Right now.
What's the total figure
Yes, sir.
today?
Today, the total principal and interest that you have outstanding on your, on the existing debt is just under $137 million.
I think the debt service, Judge, for next year will be roughly about $8 million. This is what is shown there on page 18. It's in 2013 is going to be almost $8 million.
It had been in the
And
sending
14
date.
is going to go up to 13 point something.
Yes, sir. If you want to look and we can walk, if you would like, why don't we perhaps just start on page 15 and we can walk you through the scenarios that we have done, if that would be helpful, sir. What we have done, just to walk you through, we have not assumed any growth in your assessed valuation at all as part of this analysis. We've endeavored to be conservative. We have also assumed only 93% collections. Again, trying to be conservative in what the impact is.
What's
So-
our average collection rate?
They've been about 95%, Judge.
Okay.
So if we go to column D on that page, this shows the existing debt
Again,
that's out.
please, what page?
Yes, sir, that's on page 15. So column D shows the existing debt service that is outstanding, and that number is comprised of both principal and interest. And then in the box, we show the anticipated debt service, and this is scenario 1. So this is 25-year level debt. You can see the payments are roughly equivalent for all of the years outstanding at about $5.16 million to get to the total debt service. And then we have the column I, which shows the projected INS tax rate impact once that is completely outstanding. And then, so on the next page, we put that in a chart form.
What's
We're-
the payment going to be now? Once we borrow the 84, what's our payment going to be?
Yes, sir. If we do scenario 1, which is 25-year level debt, the payment is going to be approximately $13,400,000.
And that's a steady amount. I mean, that will not change.
Yes, sir, that is correct. Once the bonds are issued, that will be locked in.
Okay. And that'll take us to when, 26?
Yes, sir, that'll take you to really about 27. Judge, that'll take you to about 27, and then at that point in time, the debt service declines to 11.1 million, and then it declines to 5.16 in a 25-year level scenario.
And that's if we went the DNS transaction route.
Yes, sir.
And if we went the wraparound route, would there be a difference?
Yes, sir. Judge,
And what
if
would
I'm,
that difference be?
yes, sir, if I may ask you to please turn to page 17.
What page?
17.
All right.
This is the 4 columns on the left are the same columns that you saw on the prior page. And in the box, what we have shown is to have a 20-year, actually, I'm sorry, it's 19-year wraparound structure. And so what happens is, on your new debt, the payment is only about $4.9 million until we get out to 2027. Then it jumps to $7.2 million, then $13.1 million, and then about $5 million the last year. But if you look at that then in conjunction with the existing debt, what that shows then is that your payment on an annual basis is just under $13,200,000. So it's slightly less than the prior scenario.
So you're trying to get us to pay less at the beginning, all the way through 2025?
Yes,
And-
sir. Yes, sir, Judge, that's exactly correct. What we're trying to do is
Yeah.
maybe to minimize the payment a little bit on the front
And
end.
then leave the higher payments that are going to almost triple
And
for
they,
whatever court is in place in 2027 and 2028.
what scenario 1 does is scenario 1 says, we're looking at this bond issue and we're structuring this bond issue completely level on a standalone basis, and it will be in conjunction with what was done previously. What this scenario 2 and scenario 3 does is says, well, let's structure this, but let's be mindful of the existing debt that's already outstanding. And so it minimizes it on the front end, and then it does increase significantly on the back end. But what we're solving for in this one is the combined debt service for both your existing and the proposed debt.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So page 15 and 17, the only difference you're gonna pay it earlier?
Yes.
Yes.
So how are you gonna be able to accomplish that? I'm wondering.
Can you speak into the microphone, Ray? It's hard to hear.
I'm sorry.
The difference between page 15 and 17 is the only difference you're gonna pay it earlier. Page 15 says you're gonna finish paying on 2038.
That
And
is
the payment, and the payment's a little different. Page 17 says you're gonna finish paying in 2032, but the payments are larger.
Yes, sir. What we're doing in those two is you've identified that correctly. Yes, sir. What we're doing on scenario one just has 25-year level debt. So your final payment will not be until 2038. And then what we've done in scenario two, your final payment is 2032, so it's shorter total debt, but it does push more principal to the back end that wraps around the existing debt.
And you still pay less.
And you pay less interest, but as you've articulated very correctly, part of the reason you're paying less is you're shortening the final maturity. And this goes back to the judge's question in that the difference between 20-year and 25-year or 20-year and 30-year, and it's just because the yield curve is so steep that additional 5 years, you're not only paying more interest, but you're paying interest at a higher rate.
Look, any loan, the more you pay, the shorter it's gonna take you to finish paying it, basically.
Theoretically, yes, sir. But you do get a little bit of an additional benefit that the shorter you pay, even though you're paying more principal, you're able to have it at a lower interest rate because the yield curve is so steep. So part of what makes these two interest rates different is not only the fact that you're shortening the final maturity, but also because the assumed interest rate between those two on the 19-year, that's the lowest rate. If you paid off that quickly, your interest rate would be about a 3.25%, whereas in the first one, the 25 years, your interest rate is about a 3.45. So there's a 20 basis point differential between having about a 19 or 20-year transaction and having a 25-year transaction.
Right. But assuming that the interest rate, let's say will double later on, it'll make more sense to extend the term, because the interest rate that you're paying is lower than what the current rate would be 10 years from now, for example.
That's a very interesting comment, and one of the feedbacks that we are getting, because as I said earlier, we are in an interest rate market where we really have to go back about 45 years. And so we are having some of our clients who are choosing to amortize 25 years or 30 years. Even though the difference between the 20-year and the 30-year is a higher interest rate, and you look at the difference between the two, they're also stepping back and going, okay, I can do 25-year debt and I can lock that in for under 3.5%. Might it be better that even though we know we're going to pay more than a 20-year, in what is a 45-year low interest rate environment, would it perhaps be prudent to go ahead and extend it out longer and take advantage of the very low absolute rate versus the relative rate between the 20 and 25 year?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what
sir.
I'm saying, that, I don't think the rate will remain this low forever. So 10 years from now, I'm sure it's gonna be
What do you need from us today?
Yes, sir. If we could just, what we're doing here today is seeking your guidance to allow us to go ahead and move forward. We will be continuing to get feedback on these structures. We will continue to refine them. We will start preparing the disclosure documents and start beginning and preparing for the process with the rating agencies. So
No, obviously,
basically,
that's looking at the three different scenarios, right, and figuring out what the best I mean, ultimately, we want to pay the least amount of interest possible, and what's the best scenario for the county.
Yes, sir. And really, if, I don't want to complicate this more, these are just 3 sample scenarios. We could do a hybrid of any of these. You have tremendous flexibility in this market as to how we structure this, and it really is an issuer's market just because the interest rates are so low. So we just wanted to put a few options in front of you to give you the relative perspective between them, but certainly we have full flexibility to continue to refine these 3, and then any other guidance and feedback that we get from you, we will be happy to analyze those scenarios as well.
Judge, I'm in favor of, I'm sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Just one other comment. In looking at these 3 scenarios, knowing that none of these 3 may be a hybrid of some of these scenarios when the final rates come out, I think the only thing we also need to know is we are assuming no inflation under these numbers. With inflation, you're going to be paying this back with cheaper dollars.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Oh, no, Judge, my comment is just allow them to move forward, and obviously, I would prefer that we do a workshop once they got something to report back to the Commissioners Court so we can openly discuss the issue.
I think,
All right.
I think what they're looking for, Commissioners,
They need
is
a-
on page 22, which is the timetable that they're trying to move on, and then from there, move forward with whatever workshops the court wishes.
So do you need a motion?
Yes,
To
sir.
authorize the team to proceed with the preparation of the financing plans.
So move.
Second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank
What
you very
about the
much.
100 million?
The 100 million, basically, there is no movement on the 100 million until we have all of our documents secured by the federal government on the recapture and the reuse of monies.
And who's working on that aspect of it?
Basically, we've submitted our documentation in already, the Corps of Engineers on the plan side of it. We're moving forward once the plans are in place and environmentally cleared to begin the process of securing the documentation from the government on it.
And who is the one that's been doing this? Is it your
Basically,
department?
our department's been doing it, but S&B Infrastructure, which is the consultant of the district, is the one that's been submitting all the plan requirements to the Corps of Engineers, Judge.
Have they projected a time?
Another year by the time we get environmental clearance. So we're a year, 2 years down the road on this, as we had said
Could you
before.
prepare a timeline like the one they prepared in page 22 that'll lay it
Yes, sir.
out
We've
for us?
asked S&B to give us a technical timeline on it, Judge. They're waiting for a response from the Corps of Engineers. However, since Thanksgiving in November, when this thing moved forward, we're not going to get a response until probably latter part of January to get the timetable for you.
Okay. All right, sir.
You got an extra copy of the packet?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Godfrey.
Thank you,
sir.
gentlemen, and happy
Thank you,
holidays to you and your family.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Godfrey.
Judge, we do have Frank Trevor.
Yes, Frank?
Just very briefly, one figure I haven't heard, and I hope the workshop that the commissioner suggested might bring out an answer. This year, there was a $200 million bond issue in California, Sonoma Marin, which netted them cash after the sale of $172 million to use. They had a $28 million cash upfront cost of providing the bond issue. I hope this would be nothing like that, but I think that's a figure that I would sure like to hear about if the workshop comes
I'm
on.
sure we'll talk
Thank you.
about that, Frank. Thank you. Yes, sir. Item 5?
Item 5, request
Excuse
approval.
me, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Godfrey,
Yes, Commissioner.
based on this discussion, what you guesstimate in terms of timeline for construction?
Basically, the timeline that we're still looking at, Commissioner, is the majority, if not all of the structures along the levee completed in 18 months. The lateral entrance completed within the 18 months. The rest of the projects, probably about 24 months to 36 months. And then again, the Raymondville drain is out 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road. But the majority of the actual improvements on the rural drainage, on the acquisition of real estate from the county, are structured in the IBWC. I estimate those within 18 to 24 months to be completed. I think a lot of the commissioners are ahead of the game, in which I've been meeting with regarding plans. We'll probably be coming to this board the first week of January for authorization to advertise. I think it's almost 10 different projects that y'all have plans ready to go on. We'll be coming before this board in January also for the assets that the district will be buying from the county. Those will be cleared up probably in February. So come March, if we proceed with the sale, we'll be ready to buy the assets from the county, which is a total of about $10 million. We'll probably put out for construction on the rules development side, probably anywhere between $8 to $9 million. On the structures for the levee, we should be able to put out probably about 80% of those out. So you'll see a big movement in the first 6 months of 2013 on construction, Commissioner.
I would suggest that that you give us status report on a monthly basis,
And Commissioner,
in order to get the public.
yes, sir.
up
And
to date.
we intend on doing that, Commissioner. However, we have not received all of the project listings from the commissioners. As soon as we get the project listings, I can better gauge a timetable. Without that, I'm just guesstimating what we're anticipating that we want to do. But I'm hoping that by January, the commissioners will have their projects lined up. Then we can put a report out saying these are the projects that are coming out for bid. These are the construction timetables. This is the day we acquire these assets from the county. We're doing a lot of the administrative work right now, but there is no concrete until January.
But I think it's important that we keep the public informed,
Yes, sir.
so.
Well, Judge, Commissioner, I share the same sentiment. I know we've turned in all of our documents when we're prepared. I think we've done a great job on selling the bonds and going out there to the public and defending what it is we're trying to accomplish. But at the end of the day, you know, we do have hurricane season looming around next year, and there's a lot of projects that we already have shovel-ready, and whatever we can do to expedite some of these projects from being cut sooner than later would be good for the court
Yes, sir.
and the general public.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Go on.
Item 5, may I proceed, Judge?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 5, request approval of attached specification and approval to advertise for RFB number 1300800117, pipes, reinforced concrete, pipe tongue and groove, reinforced concrete rubber gasket, box culverts less than 2 foot full, box culverts more than 2 foot full. What we're asking at this time is to go out and advertise for the district to receive quotes for RCP pipe boxes and so forth. That's going to be one of the main items for the drainage improvements that are coming up.
So moved.
Second.
And you're insisting on concrete pipes?
No, sir, we have all the other pipes already on our pool. What we don't have is the boxes and the concrete pipe of the larger diameter, so we're expanding our pool to bring these items in under bid.
To have ready.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So we're not delegating one material to be used at this time, Judge. We're just preparing the options to go
Because
forward.
I understand there's quite a bit of difference as to the life of use of that particular product.
We're analyzing in this respect, Judge. If you look at a product face-to-face, let's say corrugated metal pipe and concrete pipe. Corrugated metal pipe, let's say it's $10. Concrete pipe is $20. Oh, the corrugated pipe is cheaper. Okay, but the installation cost of that and how to install that pipe is much different than the concrete pipe. So we have to put them at the same level of material, life expectancy, installation flexibility. So all of those will give you the final number of what's good. Concrete is great. I'd rather go with concrete, but it just needs to make sure that it's a competitive side of the projects.
Well, again, the life of the use is a big issue.
Yes, sir.
Something that'll last 100 years is a lot better than something that'll last 25 years.
Yes, sir. I understand.
All right, those in favor of the motion as made and seconded indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 6, acknowledge to change to TCDRS plan provision for plan year 2013 to include a 3% COLA for retirees as approved during the 2013 budget process. This is in line with what the county is doing. And it's an increase of 0.26 on the retirees.
Would you approve?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge,
For the record,
Commissioner,
we've been joined by Commissioner Quintanilla, Precinct 1.
Morning, Commissioners, Judge.
Go ahead, sir.
we do have an item under consideration by the board under closed session. It is item C, claim of Danamom Engineering.
Pursuant to 551-071 and 072, need a motion to proceed to executive session.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. right, we're back in open session. Under item A, there's no action needed on 8A or 8B. On 8C, we're still awaiting the auditor to complete his particular part of the task and provide us with that information. No action therefore being needed at this time. Item 9, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Judge, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we're going to convene our regular Hidalgo County Commissioners Court meeting for today, December the 18th, 2012. Present are Commissioners Quintanilla, Precinct 1, Palacios, Precinct 2, Palacios, Precinct 4, and myself. We have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's remain standing above our heads, please. Almighty God, we come together today for the good of the citizens of Hidalgo County. Give us your wisdom as we make decisions that will affect them today and in the years to come. Help us to work well together, recognizing that each of us are here because we want what is best for Hidalgo County. We ask you for your blessing and your guidance. In your name we pray, O Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
I would ask you to please remain standing. I would ask that today, at this meeting of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court, we take a moment and honor the memory of the 26 victims of the tragedy in Newtown, Connecticut. We honor the lives cut short by this act of violence. We demonstrate our support for the families and survivors. Thank you. Any issues with our consent agenda, Mr. Eufrasio?
Yes, Judge, I would like to ask that consent agenda item 8Q be pulled for discussion.
Move for approval of the consent agenda excluding 8Q.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, agenda item 8Q is another one of those instances where the goods were not properly procured possibly, so therefore I might not be able to pay for the invoices. Just for the record also, I wanted to point out that we had issues with that vendor. The vendor delivered duplicate goods and services to several county departments, and they're now want us to pay the vendor. They didn't have a purchase order or authorization to secure those duplicate goods and services.
Number one, Mr. Eufrasio had informed me through an email that that is what he suspected, that the vendor has become a little repetitive in that action. However, the vendor is a co-op vendor, and I asked him to give me the specific instances so that under the TASB Buy Board cooperative program, I can report that vendor to the co-op that they are awarded through so as to look into it, but I have not received the information. But let me explain why I have brought this option to the court.
Ma'am, the name of the vendor is on the agenda item.
GT Distributors.
Right, okay.
Yes. Now, the department explained in several instances to the auditor's office that a purchase order was secured for the original items. Subsequently, the vendor duplicated the purchase order, but it was received by other members of the staff. Since these were shirts and need embroidery done to them, they were distributed and embroidered, and therefore when the staff member in charge of keeping track of the bills being paid discovered this, it was too late for the vendor to return them because they've already been embroidered. I had asked the auditor's office as a solution, and because taking the department's explanation, I asked if they would permit the purchase order increase to cover the duplicate items. It's $281.91. The auditor is, when he gave me his response, that he felt that this was a ploy on the part of the vendor and that he suspected that this was now becoming habitual. I still feel that for $281.91, they cannot be returned. A purchase order increase would resolve the issue. However, they rejected that offer. And so I brought it to court. In order for the court
Can
to...
we legally do that? Can we, at this time, at this stage of the game,
I think
increase it?
it'd be better to just go ahead and treat it as a claim by the vendor and pay the vendor through a claim process.
All right. Can you bring it back as a claim?
I shall put it on that 28th agenda.
We're going to take care of the obligation, but we want to make sure
Okay.
we follow our lawyer's advice.
But I would also like that information on any duplicates that have become of a habitual nature so that we can report them to the cooperative.
I think your staff, Marty, is involved in this issue, so that they have that information already. We
No, on
communicated
this
with
one,
them.
I'm saying you mentioned in your email that you knew of several instances, and I asked for those instances.
In those instances, your staff is involved in the same thing. So the department is communicating with purchasing, and they would
I will-
like to, for the auditor's office
Okay.
to issue payment, and so they're aware of that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I will bring it, or the 28th.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, yes, sir.
If we may move up an item on the agenda.
I am,
before-
that's what I was about to announce.
Thank you.
I'm going to be moving to item number 6B, a resolution in support of UTB and UTPA merger. I had promised Dr. Nelson we'd be getting him out of here before 10 o'clock. I apologize for that, not being able to do so, but this is an issue of potentially historic importance to our South Texas community, and you can proceed, Bobby.
Judge, we have Dr. Robert Nelson, the UTPA president, and his chief of staff, Lisa Prieto, here today for the resolution in support of the merger between the two colleges. And here's Dr. Nelson.
Judge and Commissioners, thank you.
Good morning, sir.
We're very excited with this opportunity. This is an opportunity to be able to bring PUF funding to the university, to the Valley, and uniting us all in one cause, educating our students. Plus, it's an opportunity to finally get the med school started. So we really appreciate your support, very much so. Thank you.
Are there
Judge, if I can read the resolution. Resolution in support of UTPA and UTB University merger. Whereas on December 6, 2012, the University of Texas system announced plans to merge the University of Texas Pan American, the University of Texas Brownsville, and the Regional Academic Health Center at University of Texas Board of Regents meeting. University of Texas Brownsville President Juliet V. Garcia and University of Texas Pan American President Robert Nelson expressed their support of the proposed merger. And whereas both university presidents presented to the board the various benefits the merger of both universities would have for the Rio Grande Valley, a vote was put to the Board of Regents in which the approval of the merger was passed to create a new university that includes a medical school. And whereas upon the merger of both universities, the new university would be eligible to include medical school in its curriculum, thereby making the university a top-tier place for education in the Rio Grande Valley. The new university would also serve as a bridge between Texas and the United States with Mexico and Latin America. And whereas upon the approval of the merger by the University of Texas Board of Regents for the merger, the proposal still requires approval by the Texas legislature. A bill will be submitted and Texas lawmakers will meet in January of 2013 in Austin for its legislation from a bill to a law. Now therefore be it resolved that Hidalgo County Commissioners Court hereby recognizes and supports the merger of the University of Texas Brownsville and University of Texas Pan American for the creation of a new university to include a medical school that will no doubt benefit Hidalgo County and the surrounding counties for generations to come. Approved this 18th day of December 2012.
Trouble.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Dr. Nelson, can you, I know lost in those whereases are really the true impact that this will have on our community. I know initially we're going to get about $100 million over a 10-year period of time for the construction of this medical school. that hopefully will open up in 2015 if everything is agreed to by all of the parties involved. And what it would mean to the economic impact that all those research dollars that will be coming in, because we're going to be part of the Permanent University Fund, which is the money, the place where universities like UT and A&M go to get their big dollars. And for the first time in the history of Texas, Pan Am will have an opportunity, or, well, UT of the Americas will have an opportunity to tap into those dollars, and the significance that that means to us here in South Texas.
It's going to be tremendous. At Pan Am, we have not had a new building, except for the building that the students helped build and fund themselves, in 11 years, since 2001. We have not been able to get a new building because there have been no tuition revenue bonds, nor could we get any PUF money down here. We will now be able to tap into the Permanent University Fund to have new buildings. As I said in the Monitor last week, that we're looking at becoming an emerging research university, bringing in research dollars. We expect to bring in close to $100 million in research within the next 10 years. That will be amazing, and that's $100 million a year coming in. That will be amazing. Being able to ask for a new building, $30 million, $40 million, and just being able to get that money, that will make a tremendous difference. We estimate that this new university, and it doesn't have a name yet, and we're happy to hear everybody's suggestions about a name, but being able to move forward and with that university and get the funds that we need will make a tremendous difference. It's estimated that it will create 10,000 jobs, and those jobs will have a salary of $500, excuse me, $63,500. 10,000 new jobs here. That is just huge. The impact will go on and on and on. But most importantly, all of those kids that are being born right now, we will have the bricks and mortar to be able to educate them. We'll have the distance education that will be able to educate them. We're going to be able to tap into a new fund for transformative learning right now that has $40 million in it. We couldn't tap into that until we became PUF eligible. So this is huge for us.
Well, thank you very much for the work that you're doing. Hopefully, you and the committee and the group that's working on this will be successful.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you all, to all of the commissioners. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. The next item that we're going to be taking out of order is item number 16A. It is my pleasure to take this item out of order, where we're going to be acting on a resolution honoring our former state representative, Aarón Peña Jr., former state representative. Or is it going to last until the middle of January, Aaron? There you go. State Representative Aarón Peña Jr.
Judge, we just, I appreciate the opportunity to go ahead and honor Aarón Peña here, our state representative for District 40. I've known him for many years, and basically he's always been an inspiration to a lot of us elected officials, and I know he's done a great job in spearheading a lot of funding that came our way, and also opening our substance abuse center as well. This is something that I know was part of his dreams and one of his biggest accomplishments, I would say, when he's been the state representative for us. And he's been a true friend to the Rio Grande Valley. He's worked with all his comrades up there, his fellow state representatives, and always pushed hard to make sure we get the funding we're supposed to be getting. So I congratulate you and commend you. And on my behalf, it's truly an honor to recognize you like this, my friend. Congratulations. Karina.
Judge Commissioners, Karina Cardosa, on behalf of Commissioner Quintanilla, the Public Affairs Division. I would first like to recognize the members of Mr. Peña's family that are here today, and I would ask them to get up and please rise as I read the resolution. We have the Representative Aaron Peña, his wife Mónica Peña, his son Aarón Peña. If you can please join us over here at the podium.
Please.
Daughter-in-law Clarisa Longoria Peña, his daughter Adrian Peña Garza, son-in-law Jimmy Garza, and his grandson, Mr. A.J. Garza, who's joining us here this morning. Thank you, first of all, for being here today. And if I may read the resolution. It's a resolution in honor of State Representative Aaron Peña, Jr. Whereas Aaron Peña, Jr. has fulfilled 5 terms of public service to Hidalgo County and the state of Texas, having served as state representative for House District 40 for 10 years, and whereas Peña was raised in Edinburgh and graduated from Edinburgh High School in 1977. He attended Pan American University before heading to Austin, where he received a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of Texas in May of 1984. Like his father before him, Peña studied to be a lawyer, receiving his Juris Doctor in May 1987 from Texas Southern University School of Law in Houston. Peña immediately returned to Edinburgh to raise his family and to practice law. And whereas his passion for law and public service have enabled him to contribute to economic growth and prosperity in his hometown community of Edinburgh, the Rio Grande Valley, and pass legislation that has impacted Texans across the state. And whereas Peña's initial run for public office in 2002 was sparked by the loss of his son, John Austin Peña. His goal as a legislator was to open a state-operated drug treatment center in South Texas to serve the needs of the community. In 2007, Representative Peña secured funding to bring a facility to Edinburgh, and on October 4, 2011, Peña, joined by state, local, and elected officials, gave the keynote address at the grand opening celebration of the John Austin Peña Primary Care and Substance Abuse Treatment Facility, the first of its kind in South Texas. And whereas, as a legislator, Peña has served as a strong advocate for education. Examples of his commitment include legislation that aimed for increases in public school teacher pay. He also worked to assist in the growth of the University of Texas Pan American. Peña sponsored legislation to authorize construction of a $25 million Student Wellness and Recreation Center, a $40 million Fine Arts, Academic, and Performance Complex, $5 million for the Regional Academic Health Center at UT Pan American, as well as continued growth in the university's operating budget, all of which have added a great benefit to the university, to the Edinburgh community, and to students. And whereas during his terms in office, Peña achieved committee chairman status in 3 sessions, to the House Committee for Criminal Jurisprudence, House Select Committee on Emergency Preparedness, and House Committee on Technology. He has also been assigned to more than 20 committees during his 5 terms in office. And whereas Peña has elected to retire after his 10-year service, and he looks forward to spending time with his wife, Mónica Peña, and their 4 children, Adrian Peña Garza, Aarón Peña, Michael Anthony Peña, Alyssa Peña, and his grandchildren. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court hereby recognizes and honors State Representative Aaron Peña, Jr. for his outstanding service, dedication, and commitment to the community and citizens of Edinburgh, Hidalgo County, the Rio Grande Valley, and the state of Texas. Dated this 18th day of December, 2012.
Move to approve.
Second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
God bless you guys. Let me first recognize my wife, who's probably the happiest person in the room, Mónica Peña, because for those 10 years, I told her in the beginning, it's only 6 months, honey. It turned out the first term was 10 months, and then the other terms were multiple months as well, so it's good to be coming back home. Judge and commissioners, I thank you very much. Initially, I ran because I wanted to make a difference after a fairly tragic event in our family. And this job has given me the opportunity not only to try to remedy a wrong that I saw, but also to help myself spiritually and to help the community that I love. I'm glad that we're here in the city of Edinburgh at the City Hall when this is happening. I love this community, and although my term is ending in 20 days and 11 hours, but who's counting? I plan to continue to be involved in public service and advocating for this community. So regardless of what the issue is, and I want to say the greatest issue, I agree with you all, is going to be the merger of the university. This is one of the greatest challenges that this community faces, and it provides a great opportunity. Access to the PUF funds means that we will rise eventually to the Tier 1 level, coming up with Texas A&M and UT Austin. And that is very important, and I want to applaud this court for taking the step and recognizing that fact. The challenge really is ours. Yes, we're going to have challenge with those Republicans north of the Nueces, but we can get past that. But what we need to show them is that we're united in our effort, and I know that's going to be a challenge, and I thank you all for joining in that effort. I think that's probably my last public advocacy. From here on, I'll be advocating in private. But I want to thank you all for the service that you all give, the leadership you provided. I know each of you as friends, and I want to encourage you all to continue doing a good job for this community. Count me as your friend, and when you need me, and you can take this to the bank, I don't need to be paid. If it's for this community and it's for the good of this community, you ask and I'll try to deliver. Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you, Aaron. We certainly want to thank you for all of the years of hard work and the excellent work that you have done in representing us in Austin. And by the way, I did tell Dr. Nelson, I said, look, you got to go see Aaron. He's got these new contacts that may help you. And I'm sure that he'll get involved and support our South Texas community in whatever way he can. So we're looking forward to working together. I don't know how much of a retirement you really are going to have, but we look forward to working together on this major issue, this UTB merger. I think it's a big deal for the valley, and hopefully we'll be able to coordinate our efforts and see it to fruition.
It's a very, very big deal, and I cannot emphasize to the community who may be watching, this really is going to require that we all come together, because we love the competition that we all have on Fridays. When Harlingen, coming from Edinburgh and being a Bobcat, they were always our biggest competitor. But we now have to work together, and we have to put those feelings aside. And everything that all of us collectively have done in our lives will probably not match this achievement in terms of the future for our children and great-grandchildren, because access to the PUF funds and moving to a Tier 1 status is enormous. Every other community, El Paso, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, is probably going to be envious of this opportunity that we have. But we, quite frankly, deserve it, because we've been neglected for years upon years. And so I agree, we need to come together and make this thing happen. So I'm here. I live down the road. You all know where to find me. I'll be practicing a little bit of law, a little bit of public advocacy, and as I said, my offer to you is that if you need me, you just call me. I'll be there. Thank you.
Thank you, and God bless.
Our next item is item 17A.
Judge, Commissioners, I'm so pleased today we also take time to honor a community man that we lost about 7 years ago. And I ask that we're constantly looking out there for role models and people that have made a significant difference in our community, and one of which, Mr. Luis Flores Sr., who is the proud father of a wonderful family. He was a community man, a family man. He obviously built a legacy. What amazes me about him and his family is that they're rooted in with a hard work ethic and in family, and teaching his children that what binds them together is more important than what pulls them apart. And we'd like to take a moment to honor him. I'd like to call Jesse Ozuna from my office to obviously read the resolution and ask the family if they could join us up front, if you can introduce the family as well.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. If we can get the family, please, to come up here. Mrs. Louis Flores Jr., Vicky Flores, his oldest son, Louis Flores, his wife, Dora, son, Marco, and his daughter, Liana, his daughter, Patsy Los Santos, and her son, Mike Jr., and his youngest son, Jaime Flores, and his wife, Melissa.
Good morning, Vicky.
The resolution reads as follows. In honor of Luis Flores Jr., whereas Luis Flores Jr., a Lynn San Manuel native and owner of the famed Chorizo de San Manuel, is remembered for his many contributions not only through his business, but also through his work within the Lynn San Manuel community, and where his legacy, passion, and dedication continues to earn the respect of his colleagues, friends, family members, customers, and his beloved community. And whereas in 1975, Flores and his family, Vicky, purchased a small general store owned and operated by Mr. Adolfo Shorty Guerra, along with his famed chorizo recipe and the known trade name of Chorizo de San Manuel. They quickly began working on expanding the business. And whereas word spread of the delicious chorizo meat, Flores's business grew, and in 1985, he opened a USDA processing plant, which was constructed more than a few feet from where the original store was located. And in August of 2005, the Flores family opened a new state-of-the-art facility which houses their corporate headquarters. And whereas the business of making Chorizo de San Manuel has become a family affair with his wife Vicky I. Flores and their 3 children, Luis Flores III, Patricia de los Santos, and Jaime Flores, each running different aspects of the daily operations. And whereas Flores Jr. has built a great business legacy through his children, they continue expanding by growing with their customers, developing new brands of chorizo, providing more varieties of meat, and introducing a new line of spices. And whereas Flores always instilled in his children the mentality of never forgetting where they came from and to always give back to their community, the family has honored their father's wishes and commitment to community by most recently donating land for the construction of the new Lynn San Manuel Volunteer Fire Department. Now therefore be it resolved that the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court hereby recognize and honor Luis Flores Jr. for his outstanding service, dedication, and commitment to the Lynn San Manuel community and the citizens of Hidalgo County.
Move to approve.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners.
Do you want to introduce the family members, please?
Yes, sir. We have Mrs. Luis Flores Jr., Vicky Flores. We have his oldest son, Louis Flores, and his wife, Dora, his son, Marco, and his daughter, Liana. His daughter, Patsy de los Santos, with her son, Mike Jr., and Jaime Flores with his wife, Melissa. And I believe his granddaughter, Liana, has some words to say to the public.
We would like to thank you for this honor on behalf of my grandfather, Luis Flores Jr. My grandfather was a very humble man with a big heart. We hope to continue in his footsteps and always give back to our community. Thank you.
You know, I'm from the Lynn area, and I've known this family for all my life almost. And I can tell you that Pelon would have been very, very, very proud seeing this picture as we're looking at it and hearing about the accomplishments that your family has made. And you are to be congratulated. You certainly represent what is best of our South Texas community.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we would proceed to item 5, open forum. First presenter is Frank Travers.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I announced my subject, as you noticed, a $22 billion leak. The exact number I'm talking about is $22,842,558,103. This is information I got just 8 days ago, which is published for the first time. That's the amount of money in which the operating expenses of all transit agencies in the United States could not cover with the fares they collected for the services they were rendering. Up until now, we had been depending almost exclusively on for valid data of financial operations and other types of information on transit from the National Transit database for the year 2010. Now, it takes about a year for this information to get collected. The FTA is the only organization that has the huge staff and the budget and the legal clout to collect and gather all this information. It takes almost a year to collect it and summarize it. So we got just a little over a week ago the reports for 2011 as compared to 2010 we've been looking at before. Now, there's not a lot of difference in the 2 years. There are some more organizations that came on board. Their buses primarily received about 11.5% increase in the total number, 66 new bus systems, no new rails, none whatsoever. Comparing wise as to operating results, we said that up until through 2010, that none of the rails were able to break even with their fares to cover expenses. Well, in 2011, they still don't break even. None of them. There's not a single rail district in the country that's able to meet its expenses with its fares collected. Now, I've got a little brief summary that I'm going to give you as we conclude here. But one thing, I'm just amazed. Pastor Edge comes before here and makes statements such as there's only a handful of rail companies that are making a profit, and he rattles off names and percentage numbers and tells you this, and it's just plain not true. He actually cites as his source the National Transit database for 2010 and then makes these statements and names percentages that he says are profit figures. Well, you already had information in your manuals that I've given you, the reports, which collect that information and show you that it's just not true. Now, he's either just making a mistake or someone's feeding him information which just doesn't hold water. Now, as to the eventual work which is being done here, I'm quite concerned because buses are the way of the future. We're in the bus business. We're going to have bus business. And across the country, they're the ones that are coming on board. There are 70 rail systems in the country, but bus systems, there are 657. And they had a 10% increase from 589 the year before in 2010. And they're the only organization which is really growing, and people are wisening up, and that's where we're going to have to go. Now, as long as this rail is occupying attention and taking the few people that are really working on the transit at all, then we're taking the manpower that we have and misdirecting it.
You got about 30 seconds, Frank.
Okay. I'd like to pass out just a brief 3-page summary. Donna, would you do that, please? Which will give you a comparison of those. And if any of you, to bring your manuals up to date, would want a complete printout of the same National Transit data system, financial operating results, fares collected, operating expenses, and the percentage they cover on every transit system in the country. 32 pages, 1,365. I'll be glad to furnish you that information. I think you need the facts, and I will try to give you that. Thank you very much, Judge.
Frank, I know you're very sincere in what your beliefs in a rail system, but isn't that isn't that a public transportation, part of a public service? That's why they're subsidized by and I agree with you, they don't make a profit, but that's where the subsidies come in. But looking at it as a public service to provide a means of transportation for people that cannot readily afford to have their own vehicle or things of that nature, isn't that one way of looking at it?
That is very true, Judge, and I certainly believe that, and that's what we need to do. But the experts across the country tell us that rails don't even do it. There are much more economical ways to achieve those results. And all I want to see us doing is getting results and not wasting money on something that doesn't work.
Thank you. Next presenter, Mrs. Leal. Is there a Mrs. Leal here to speak on the home subdivision? Good morning, ma'am.
Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Josie Leal, represento la colonia Joint Subdivision y les quiero decir aquí a todos que vengo a darle especialmente las gracias al señor Joe Palacios porque cuando él anduvo en la colonia agarrando sus votos para su campaña, ¿verdad? Él nos dijo, les vamos a ayudar a su colonia, a arreglarla, y cosa que le agradezco bastante en nombre de toda la colonia, que nos han dado la feliz noticia que en enero, si Dios quiere, nos empiezan a arreglar la joven Montecristo, la colonia. Ya que, como ustedes sabrán, desde que estuvo el huracán Dudley, quedó devastada las calles. Y vine por eso, ¿verdad? Para darles las sinceras gracias en nombre de toda la colonia Joven Montecristo, que nos van a ayudar en enero en el proyecto de las calles, la colonia, embellecerla para bien de todos nuestros hijos, nuestros nietos. Y le doy nuestras más sinceras gracias al señor Yo Palacio porque ha cumplido su palabra de que en enero nos van a arreglar.
Gracias.
Judge, not to engage, but can I translate? Simply, she's there giving thanks to the precinct, obviously, for the improvement of Hohen subdivision. The historical experience that the residents have had in that area is they've had anywhere between 2 to 3 foot of water inside their homes. All the homes are on septic, so every time there's a small little storm, they cannot use their bathrooms. They cannot live in their homes. They have to replace every piece of carpet, every piece of furniture. It's been one of the daunting tasks, and I want to thank, I see Raul Sassin there. He's assisted us in the process of designing what we believe is going to be the ultimate plan to fix the problem that we have in Hohen subdivision. It is far probably the greatest problem that we have in the Precinct 4 area, and we're very pleased with the help of our inside engineer as well as Colonia access funding from the state, as well as some precinct funding that we're going to be able to solve that problem come January. But we look forward to starting that project.
Thank you, sir. Gracias, señora.
Okay, gracias.
All right, next presenter is Dr. Gloria Jean Vela.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. The purpose of my appearance is to read a letter that I am presenting to Mr. Baldeguerra and you all in request of permission to use the public forum on a regular basis for prayer. I have an earned doctorate from the University of Houston in higher ed administration. I'm an ordained minister. I've been in ministry over 30 years and gone in many different countries and here in the United States and locally. Presently, I'm uniting pastors in the county to pray. We're repenting. We're praying for the church itself because first, it begins at home. But we want to pray for the judges. We want to pray for the government. This is biblical. The Word of God says in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1, it says, First of all, then I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. This is good and it is pleasing in the sight of God our Savior. As you know, in the Scriptures, the law comes from the Scriptures. God is the lawmaker. This is called the book of the law. We even have 2 books in the Bible that are named Judges. And there's a lot of, God prescribes how to judge and the wisdom. It comes from above. It comes from God. The reason I came, I was just going to mail this letter, but the reason I came was I just felt an urgency to get this through and to begin praying. I'm organizing different churches, and I have 3 right now for sure that will come to the public forum one day of the week and pray for maybe an hour or so, intercede for the peace of our county, for wisdom in all the cases, for safety. The urgency in my heart came from the recent events. Even here, tragically, we've had deputies that I saw in the news last night that are being dismissed. We're praying for officials not to be easily yield to temptations like that. And so let me read the letter. Dear Mr. Guerra, first of all, I want to express my sincere gratitude to all the individuals who hold positions of leadership and authority in the county level in Hidalgo County. I'm certainly aware of the immensity of the effort on your part, first of all, that you must have expended in preparing yourselves for leading our county, and secondly, with the continued energy required as you daily execute the responsibilities of your position. I was recently summoned to participate in a pre-selection procedures for serving as a juror. While I was there, I noticed a sign at the entrance of the courthouse auditorium indicating that prayer meetings were held on Wednesdays from 12 to 1:30. And after some investigating, I found out that these were no longer taking place and that you all, the county commissioners, had designated an area outside the courthouse as a public forum for such type of meetings. I spent time that day at the courthouse, and as I steadily began to sense a weight of the pressures, the difficulties, and the challenges that judges, attorneys, and other political leaders at the county level encounter. I began to sense a great responsibility, and as a spiritual leader in the area,
You have 30 seconds.
to provide support through prayer and intercession for your needs. And I believe that this is much needed, this prayer, and I would like permission to organize churches and just present an agenda to you so that we can come and execute the prayer on your behalf. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, ma'am. Next presenter is Opal Billman.
Good morning. My name is Opal Billman. I have been held in false imprisonment for 15 years as the result of a petition for divorce. The petition for divorce resulted in our private property being taken over by the 275th District Court with a court-appointed manager and a court-appointed beneficiary, and under the court's control, a corporation, a limited liability partnership, and a hedge fund were formed. A hedge fund is an investing group, usually in the form of a limited partnership that employs speculative techniques in the hope of obtaining large capital gains. Speculation is not law, it's gambling. In this case, at risk is the entire community property of Joe and me. There was no sale of our private property by Joe or me. There is no one who can legally claim to have paid either one of us anything for any of our land. Yet our names were removed as owners of the land and replaced with the name Billman Real Estate Ltd., a speculative technique resulting in the takeover of our private property for free, everything we own. There is existing law that states this case must be dismissed because Joe died. Still, the 275th District Court continues this 15-year divorce process by defamation of my character, continuing 15 years of false imprisonment of me, and barratry. All of this accomplished under the control of the Hidalgo County District Court number 275. Not accomplished by the court was a divorce settlement of the private property owned by Joe and me and a final divorce. Actions of the court had nothing whatsoever to do with a divorce. There was no final divorce or divorce settlement of any property owned by Joe and me. In the world of business, perhaps this could be considered shady dealing or disreputable dealing with no merit. But in this divorce action, look at the persons doing the dealing. They're wearing black robes and sitting on a bench where the decisions are supposed to be in compliance with law. The judges don't get to make up their own law, whatever they want. Their position is to uphold existing law, and they are required to take an oath to do so before they can assume the office. The 275th District Court has the responsibility to dismiss the court-appointed manager, dismiss the court-appointed trustee and beneficiary, invalidate all actions pertaining to a divorce as not finalized, expunge the Billman Real Estate Ltd. And Billman Enterprises Hedge Fund LLC as not being legally organized because the divorce case was still under the control of the 275th District Court. Court order Kenneth Burford to provide a quit-claim deed for all land and minerals to all of the rightful owners, and stop identifying himself as
Ms.
our
Billman,
beneficiary.
your 5 minutes are up.
Provide me with documentation that I cannot be arrested for criminal trespass on land to which I am holding the valid deeds. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, at this time, we're going to take another item out of order. We have several chief executive officers of some of our hospitals that are located here in our county present this morning on a matter on the agenda listed as item 11D, as in David, a public hearing to consider public comments on regional healthcare partnership plan for Region 5. Mr. Olivares.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Thank you for getting this out of agenda. I'd like to have the regional health partners from Region 5 come forward just for introductions, and then we'll proceed with, I'll give an overview, and then we'll proceed with the hearing. First, I'd like to have Javier come forward, please. Introduce yourself.
Good morning. Javier Iruegas, CEO at Mission Regional Medical Center.
Good morning, Mr. Iruegas.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tim McVeigh, the Chief Financial Officer at Mission Regional Medical Center.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Terry Crocker, CEO, Tropical Texas Behavioral Health.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Rene Hinojosa with Doctors Hospital.
From where, sir?
Doctors Hospital.
Okay.
Pedro Hinojosa with Cameron County Department of Health and Human Services.
All right, sir.
Steve Holscher, COO, Valley Regional Medical Center, Brownsville.
Morning, sir.
Judge, Commissioners, these are just a handful of the regional health team that's helped put the 1115 waiver together that are present. There's several others that could not be here today for the hearing. But I'd like to acknowledge their hard work and their commitment in getting this process done. So, sir, on our behalf, I'd like to offer our thanks to them for their hard work, and we'll proceed with the hearing. Gentlemen, thank you for your work, and you're welcome to take a seat. Judge, Commissioners, I'd like to give a brief overview. Judge, Commissioners, I'd like to give a brief overview on our 1115 waiver process and what we've been doing. You know, this process has been going on over a year on trying to get some additional medical funding and support for our medical needs in our community for many, many months. We're at the point of finalizing our plan that's going to go forward to Department of Health and Human Services at the Health and Human Service Commission at the state level, and of course Medicaid, Medicare at the federal level. The basic overview right now, as of last week, we have a total of 40 different dish rep projects that are being put together by our various regional health partners for a total matchable amount of money to be at $262,343,567 of potential medical support through residency programs, through programs with the University of Texas Health Science Center San Antonio, and through programs with Tropical Texas Behavioral System as well here in South Texas. That is not including our uncompensated care component that's a contribution from our county that will be used for UC through the traditional indigent care programs. So there's been a lot of work to try to get as much funding matched by the federal government. Our partners that have provided the matching funds are Border Regional Behavioral, which is the Starr County Mental Health Authority, Doctors Hospital Renaissance, Driscoll Children's Hospital, Starr County Medical Memorial Hospital, Tropical Texas Behavioral, and the University of Texas Health Science Center. Those are the primary ones that make up our dish rep partners for this. We do have a pass-3 availability for us to see if we could partner up for a pass-3 possibility in the early spring and early January. And there's been some indication from one of our partners that they may actually have some IGT available to assist with a pass-3. It wouldn't be very much, but any little bit that can come this way to go a long ways. With your permission, I'd like to call, before we go to the hearing, I'd call Terry Crocker from Tropical to give a brief overview considering the current situations in our country involving mental health issues. I'd like to have Terry come forward and give a brief overview of where he's at.
Thank you, Eddie. Again, good morning, Judge and Commissioners. This is a very exciting opportunity for Tropical. We're very proud that about 1/4 of all the plans going forward as part of the regional plan are Tropical plans. Our plans include bringing in over 1,000 people into service, increasing our service capacity by over 1,000 people. Many of these people are on a waiting list. We already know they're eligible for services. We already know they're having problems. And again, in light of recent tragic events across the nation, we understand how important it is to get services to people who are expressing needs and showing those needs for services. So we're very excited about the possibility of expanding our service capacity. These programs will be filling gaps that have existed in the service system in our local community for decades. It's going to be a way for us to dramatically increase not only the amount of service, but the quality of services we provide. And it will touch everything from, again, people who are on waiting lists, people who have co-occurring substance abuse disorders, getting primary care for a number of our patients who are unable or unwilling to go to primary care offices for that medical care, and also greatly affecting transportation of mentally ill consumers, of which this court has heard in recent months. So we're very excited about the opportunity. We thank the county for its leadership and support on this long process, and we also in substance abuse, and we look for the opportunity to partner with the county in the spring, as Eddie mentioned, to again expand substance abuse and other sorts of services that are still needed in our community.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Eddie.
Judge, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Crocker.
We had, I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Darlene Sarmiento. Darlene is our Director of Human Services. Darlene and her team, our newest member of our team is Perla Lopez, who is right next to her. Darlene has really taken the lead on getting a lot of this coordinated with our partners, and she deserves recognition for her hard work and dedication to the residents of Hidalgo County. So I'd like to acknowledge her hard work. You were passed out a USB. There were several passed out to all the commissioners, and I think Sergio, and we gave a hard copy to our court reporter in the back that she's documented. She's got a hard copy. What we're doing, we got over 571 pages plus attachments, encompasses our plan that we're submitting to the state through Pass 2. Like I said, there's still a Pass 3 component through Pass 2, and we're submitting that to the state at the end of this week to get reviewed by state government, HHSC at the state level, and then of course go to the federal level in the early spring for approval and review. If all gets accepted and all meets the guidelines set forth, we're looking at over $362 million worth of services over the next 4 years that would come to Hidalgo County, Cameron County, Starr County, and the Willacy County area to assist with this, which would work hand in hand with Dr. Nelson and Dr. Garcia's desire to get the medical school operational. It would be a matching component with the residency programs and the pediatric, psychiatric, internal medicine, and OB residency programs that are being set forth by the University of Texas Health Science Center San Antonio. So it just works in lockstep with the whole vision and direction of the future of the medical school here in the Valley. Yes, sir.
You have gotten court to accept similar plans in the past. Is this a new one, or this is?
The only addition to that, Mr. Eufrasio, is the Pass 2 projects. So the Pass 2 projects are on there that were not on the other one that we submitted. So is your recommendation that we take action on accepting the Pass 2 components?
Well, no, I'm just wanted to get clear as to, could you bring one of these gadgets every so often?
Well, yeah, because it's easier than
Is it a new
bringing.
one, or is it
Yeah.
It's got additional information that
It's
the
got-
other ones didn't have, or?
Yeah, it has the additional information from the first one. It's got the Pass 2 projects, which are the most recent, that involve some residency programs with a partnership with Doctors Hospital, and some of the programs that Mr. Crocker from Tropical Texas has brought forward as well. There's some additional programming in there.
So is it clear what court is approving every time you come in?
No, it's not 100% clear, because every part of that 571 pages plus attachments, it's just happening very fast. The state's setting the rules, and this was just completed by our consultants, Health Management Associates out of Houston, in the last 48 hours. And it's an adherence to the changes the state has made even through last week.
I guess what I would suggest is for you to identify exactly what is it that court is approving every time, because it says 1115 waiver plan.
Right.
And it says the same thing every time. Court action.
Yeah, I can understand that. I cannot go over every single detail of the changes on the plan, because it's basically the additional DishRep programs would involve the residency program for the University of Texas Houston Health Science Center with Doctors Hospital, and some additional programming put forth by Tropical Texas, where the additions for our Pass 2 compliance. The additional Pass 2 information is on there. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Eufrasio, but as far as reading every single component, it would take hours.
The other question that I have, Eddie, or comment, is in reference to, you indicated earlier that hospitals are going to provide IGT.
No, the hospitals are working through the University of Texas Health Science Center, and then they are partnering up with the hospitals, with the University of Texas Health Science Center IGT, and they are partnering with them as providers and contractors to provide the residency service. But it's UT Health Science Center IGT.
Okay.
Yeah, it's UT Health Science. The hospitals can't put out IGT.
That's what I was confused, because
I'm sorry.
I knew that IGT has to come in through taxes.
No, the IGTs, the only IGT partners we have are Tropical Texas, which has over $25 million has been contributed from them. We have University of Texas Health Science Center, which is upwards of $30 million. We have also Driscoll out of Corpus Christi and Nueces area has some IGT that they looked at contributing to assist with Driscoll Hospital here in our area because of the Driscoll facility here in McAllen. And then we have some IGT coming from the border behavioral health region from Starr County, which is the equivalent of tropical Texas, but in Starr County, they have
Mr.
IGT
Olivares,
as well.
So is this part of the public hearing already, or?
I'm sorry, sir, I'm just answering questions, sir.
Well, we
All right,
can move
at
on,
this
Mr.
time, we
President.
would formally
Yeah, I'm
convene a
sorry, I
public
didn't mean to
hearing.
interrupt your public
The
hearing.
purpose of the public hearing is to allow an opportunity for anybody that desires to speak
For the public.
in favor of or in opposition to any of the matters that are being discussed here this morning related to the Regional Healthcare Partnership Plan for Region 5. Is there anyone who desires to make any comments
Mr. Frasso,
Already made that.
besides our auditor?
besides our auditor.
Is there any other questions? Also, for you to know, Judge and Commissioners, the entire plan has been put on our county website, has been put on the Health Department website. Cameron County is put it on their website, and it'll be on the Starr County website as well. So it's open to the public for everyone to see, the entire program.
Judge, and the reason I ask questions, because eventually I'm going to have to issue a
I'm
check.
joking with you, Mr. Ray.
So
You
I need
have
to
every right
understand
to
that.
make a comment.
Yeah, all right.
But you said enough.
You gotta have a little levity here.
Yeah.
All right, if there's no one here desire to making any comments one way or the other, then we would at this time close the public hearing, and that concludes item 11D.
Thank you, Judge.
I want to thank everyone that made time to be here this morning. We really appreciate your concerns, your interest, and we want to assure you that we are aware of the need for more dollars for proper health care here in our area, and we do whatever we can to help in that effort. All right, let's move back. Item 6A.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Jaime Longoria with the County Judge's Office. Under item 6A, we're going to take no action on that at this time.
Thank you, sir. Item 6C.
Item 6C, Judge Commissioners, let me go ahead and read the caption. As you recall, back in, during the budget process, the Commissioners Court set aside some funding for the Mission Historical Museum, and this is the agreement that goes with that funding for fiscal year 2013. It's approval of museum funding agreement between County of Hidalgo and the Mission Historical Museum.
Was that 40,000?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Would you approve?
Have you looked at the
Yes, I have.
check?
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. Under item 6D, we're going to go ahead and call for no action as well, Judge.
All right, sir. Item 7. Can you find Mr. Guerra for us?
Thank you. Sorry about that, Judge. I was in the back with legal.
Yes, sir. Mr. Guerra, we're in your item.
Okay. Thank you. Item 7A, 1 and 2, there's no action at this time unless there's action to be taken when we get further down the agenda. Let me skip 7B. I have Mr. Sunday and Oscar in the audience, but let me skip 7B right now and just take care of the other ones real quick. 7C, I'm asking the court to approve.
Wait a minute. Item 7B, this morning I was provided with a list of...
Right, no, I'm going to get back to it. I just
Okay.
wanted, because we do have a full update, and I wanted to get the other ones out real quick.
All right,
No,
go ahead.
Yeah, we will discuss that. Item 7C, I'm asking the court to accept a settlement check from Dairyland Insurance Company in the amount of $14,545.07, and this is in settlement of an auto accident with one of our county vehicles.
Would you approve?
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 7D, I'm asking for the same approval, but with Allstate Insurance Company, and this is in the amount of $21,358.38, and this is also to settle an auto accident with one of our vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E and F are related and request an action. Item E, I'm asking approval to process a payment on a claim from Sergio J. Sanchez, attorney at law, in the amount of $6,400. This is an invoice dated for the period of August 2008 through November of 2008. This is in connection with legal representation of indigent defendant. As always, with the authority of the county treasurer to issue payment after review and auditing procedures are completed by our county auditor's office.
What's the problem? How come we're having to approve this one?
It's an invoice that didn't make it back when it was, it's for defense of indigents, and it's just paperwork that wasn't provided at the time. So what we do is when they bring it to our attention, they have to come in as claims because the period has passed.
Judge, because I think we only pay invoices up until the 4-year statute limitation. So if you pass this 4-year statute, it requires court approval.
Okay, and you have no reason to doubt that he did the work or anything like that, right?
No, we're going to audit the voucher anyway, so just for you to give us authority to audit it and pay it if everything's in order.
We got a motion and a second?
Yes.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item F is the same request, but it is for Bill McCarthy, attorney at law, in the amount of $850, and that also was for representation of indigent defendant. Again, with county treasurer to issue check after review and auditing procedures are completed by our county auditor.
Now, item F, Judge, has got a separate issue. It's not a statute of limitation issue. The issue there is that the attorney is not on the wheel that the county uses to assign attorneys to cases. And we have local rules. The district court had local rules that in order for them to assign an individual has to be on the wheel. And also the Indigent Defense Commission requires that the county have that. So that'll let you know that if payment is made, it'd be in violation of those two items. And on the commission, you might jeopardize the funding that the commission gives to the county.
Well, we certainly don't want to do that, but
that's-
what judge, there was obviously a judge appointed Mr. McCarthy.
Yes, he was assigned by a judge.
Right.
Yeah.
But Mr. Fraser, that's exactly why, we always ask for the review and auditing of your office to make sure everything is in compliance.
We have
He's saying
reviewed
it
this,
would be.
reviewed this voucher already and sent it back to the court with a note that we cannot pay it.
Okay.
So, thought I'd let you know that.
How do you see this, Steve? There's non-compliance with local policy, non-compliance with the state agreement.
And the attorney did do the work, and he was appointed by the judge.
That's the way I look at it, but we don't want to jeopardize any funding.
Perhaps we can find another fund to pay that out of.
True. I guess it would be the general fund instead of that indigent defense fund.
Because, I don't think he's the one who asked for the case. The judge just appointed him.
No, I believe he should be paid. I just want to make sure we do it without hurting our funding with the state.
I think perhaps during the auditing and processing procedures, perhaps it can be looked at again and then maybe brought back to court with perhaps another fund
With an
that we can look
alternative.
at.
There's a motion,
Funding
a
source.
second, do we withdraw
Well,
that?
a motion and a second to pay, can we do it
But-
subject to
but
being
it-
able to locate the funds?
Well,
from another
it doesn't
fund?
say what fund it's going to be paid out of.
Well, then it's open. They
It's
can go
open.
ahead.
Right.
Balde, just make sure it's not paid from that
Right.
specific.
I'll make sure, I'll get with Sergio and we'll get with the auditor. We'll look at an alternative funding source.
All right, those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item G, asking,
You might want to send out a notice to all the judges about following some of these policies and the problem that we have. If they don't, that it could affect the funding for the program.
surely will, Judge.
I think, Judge, we visited with the gentleman, and the easy cure would be for him to get on the wheel, but he doesn't want to get on the wheel.
Well, the important thing is the judge appointed him for whatever reason. We don't want to get involved in
I
in
understand.
looking at that issue. And he did the work.
But
All right, item G.
Item G is requesting permission, again, as per our policy, Mr. Brad Cowan to travel to Corpus Christi from the Extension Service, as well as Ms. Barbara Storch to travel to Ben Bolt to attend a Grow and Growers class. Both of them will be on December 20th.
Move to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay. And then if I may go back to item B, presentation for discussion, consideration, and action if necessary, including but not limited to the following: renovations to former administration buildings, first and second floor, an update on the courthouse portable building. Mr. Sunday, Oscar,
I just, did you,
We did approve item number 2, correct?
item 2, under,
I thought the motion was for G1 and 2.
G1 and 2, right, it was for,
included in the motion.
yes, it
Fine.
was,
We'll include it that way.
okay. Mr. Sunday, Oscar, can you provide the court with the update on the latest on the courthouse portables as well as the meeting that was held Friday in your office, Oscar?
Yes. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. There was a
Morning.
walkthrough last Friday afternoon where the judges wanted to see the progress of the modulars. When they walked through the modulars, they realized that they had some additional space needs that were not being met. The simple resolution, which the changes have already been received by us, is a matter of eliminating a few walls. It doesn't affect in any major way mechanical, electrical, or plumbing. It's non-structural. It's just removing some walls to create some more space for them. And it's, in my opinion, easily accommodated.
So you can go ahead and do the work that they're requesting be done?
Well, the buildings were pre-engineered and approved at the state level. And we're of the opinion that if we're not touching anything structural and we're not touching anything mechanical, electrical, or plumbing, then we're just removing some aesthetic walls that create
So the
separation.
answer is yes, you can do it?
Yes, sir, that's our opinion.
Will it delay the, I guess, the use of those buildings any considerable length of time?
No, sir.
I mean, I'd like to accommodate, these gentlemen are going to be the ones out there working day after day, and they know what they need to work with.
Yes, sir.
and under.
Do we need to get that certified change?
No,
Because
because
you
it's
were-
less than $8,000, it's non-structural, and it's non-MEP. It doesn't affect HVAC, plumbing, or electrical in any major way. What do you think?
Okay.
We do have an architect on board, Commissioner,
Okay.
which is Mr. Magera, and we'll just consult with him to make sure. We have visited the site. On Saturday, I took the opportunity to go out there. There's no structural weight-bearing walls that would be affected, therefore the changes are easy. It shouldn't have big complications at all.
The only reason I
The
asked,
timeline, we're looking at approximately 2 to 3 weeks, and should not interfere too much with the productivity going on right now.
the only reason I asked, gentlemen, is because in the future, if something does happen, and once an engineer or an architect certifies a plan and there's changes without consulting with them, then it becomes an issue.
The structures that are being requested are being done on site as we speak, Commissioner.
Okay, great.
Therefore, the integrity of the building is really not being affected. Just the walls that would have to be eliminated, and those have no weight bearing at all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And Judge Commissioners, on item 3, there are no...
Thank you, gentlemen.
There are no emergency situations that have arisen since our last agenda.
Thank you, Valde.
Thank
Item
you.
8, Constables, Precinct 1.
Morning, Judge, gentlemen.
Morning, sir.
Item 8A, authorization and approval to apply for the Local Border Security Program, LBSP, fiscal year 2013.
Move to approve.
Grant with the Texas Rangers Division, Texas Texas
That
Department
applies
of
to
Public
1, 2, and
Safety.
3.
1, 2, and 3, sir.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We'd like to take no action on item B, sir.
On item B?
Yes.
All right, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Just item 8A, 1 through 3. Right. no action.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Joel Rivera, Chief Deputy for Constable Precinct 4, Constable Guerra. Constable Guerra has asked me to present the following 2 items. He sends his regards. He was unable to present these items as he was hosting an intelligence meeting with a federal agency. 8C, authorization and approval to apply for local border security program, LBSP fiscal year 13, grant with the Texas Rangers Division, Texas Department of Public
Move
Safety.
to approve items 1, 2, and 3, Judge.
Judge,
That will apply to 1, 2, and 3?
Yes, sir.
All right. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. What program is this?
It's
I'm just
Operation,
interested in finding out why precinct number 2 constable and some of these other constables.
2 and 3.
I can tell you, it's Operation Border Star, and it's administered through the Ranger's office, and they invite agencies to participate. I'm not sure why the Constable Precinct 2 hasn't put it on there. I know
Is there a
Constable
deadline
Precinct-
for this program?
Yes, the deadline is December 31st. They still have an opportunity to put it, Constable
Next
1
meeting.
and 4 chose to put it on early in the event that there was any issues, we could resolve it
Rick,
before the
why
next.
don't you call, try to see if we can, if precinct 2 and precinct 3 are interested in this program?
Actually, Judge, I was just informed that Precinct 3 has it scheduled to come on next week.
Okay.
But Precinct 2 has not indicated
Why don't
one
we
way or
get
the
precinct 2 on board,
Right.
and talk to Mr. Alanis or talk to the newly elected person, Mr. Cantu or some, to make sure that we're not left out.
Judge, but perhaps the county could apply on behalf of the constable, because I don't think the constable precinct 2, the constable-elect can apply for it yet.
Well, no, to that end, again, this would be whether or not the agency wants to participate, and so we would defer back to the constable's office to see if they want to participate.
I just contact them, I'm sure that this is
Make sure it
something-
gets on the agenda.
It will be on for next week. We'll make sure that 2 and 3 are on for next week.
And
If they want.
make personal contact with them.
Yes, sir, I will.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Item 8D, discussion, consideration, and approval to pay various employees listed in Exhibit A unallowable incurred overtime under Operation Stone Garden Grant from the general fund. What happened was, this was already paid out. And it's a little bit complicated, and I'll do my best to explain it. During a county holiday, in which there was an 8-hour county holiday, we surged our operations. In essence, we worked grants. This was a computer glitch. We reported the hours correctly through the time and attendance program. However, the software, the first 8 hours should go as comp time, and anything over those 8 hours are supposed to be paid overtime. The program erroneously lumped it all together, and it was paid out to the deputies.
Mr. Cruz, any problem with this? All right. All right. We need a motion to approve.
Judge, let me explain something. General fund already paid for the salaries. Now, the constable is going to be short this amount of money, so what he's asking is for Sergio to fund these additional monies.
That's what we want.
But the payment's sort of being made and it's already been paid.
Is there any money in the budget?
Not in the constable's budget. We would have to transfer from contingency into the constable's budget to expense these as overtime pay.
What are we looking at in the way of?
$1,985 for salaries plus fringes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, next item, item 9.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Annette Muñiz, Chief Deputy for Arturo Guajardo Jr., Hidalgo County Clerk. We are requesting approval to apply for credit at Mott's Cash and Carry, and this is so we need to replace some flooring in our collections department, which is the annex building. This is something different that's being done. I believe the auditor suggested that we no longer go through buildings and ground, and each department has to purchase their own.
No, ma'am, that was what I would like to suggest is for the county to have accounts at all of these places, because this is happening throughout the county. Departments are now required to purchase the materials out of their budget.
Okay.
And they don't have accounts, so every department is having to open up an account at Home Depot, Mass Cash and Carry, Sherwin-Williams. So what I would suggest is for the county to have an account, perhaps Buildings and Grounds can have one.
Are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar with what Mr. Ufras is talking about, but, and we differ just a tad with respect to, and I know why it's by account, so that you can cost allocate against the department. But I'd like to see the account just come out from facilities management, as facilities management gets the request and is charged with making these repairs and/or upgrades or updates to the buildings, especially when we have damage due to, to Mother Nature or storms. So
But if you get together with Bradshaw and Buildings and Grounds and work at the,
Okay, can I ask, again, with the approval of the clerk's office, can I ask for no action on this item so that we can get it through facilities management, and we'll facilitate everything for the department?
Well, it's not a problem to us. I mean,
Okay.
this is just the way that we were directed, and our thing is, we had water that came in, we need to
Right.
remove carpet, and we
Carpeting,
just don't want
right.
any more delays.
And we're working on that issue with the roof, and which Mr. Sunday has sent me an email this morning. So again, with the clerk's permission, I'd like to take a no action. We'll have an appropriate agenda item for facilities management, and then we'll facilitate from there. That way, and the purpose is we keep track of everything through facilities management, because at the end of the day, I've charged Mr. Sunday and Daniel with keeping track of all our buildings, all our assets, and any repairs or upgrades or damage to those buildings.
yeah, in the meantime, Buildings and Grounds will take care of the property.
Yes.
But I think Buildings and Grounds already has an account with Mass
Right.
Gas and Care. So it's just a matter of them picking up the
Exactly.
Give their work order
But-
and get it done.
Exactly. But that's why I want to get so that we can.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a
take care of
problem as long as we don't have any more delays.
it. Okay.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any action needed, Mr. Garza?
No.
No, but
Item 10,
Judge, Commissioners, Richard Ozuna, Sheriff's Office, Hidalgo County.
yes, sir.
Under item 10A, can I do 1, 2, and 3? It's in reference to the local boater share program authorization to apply for the FY13 grant with the Texas Ranger Division, DPS.
Move to approve.
1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under item B, under the U.S. Marshals 1284, item 1, approval to accept overtime funding from the U.S. Department of Justice, U.S. Marshal Service for 2 officers in the amount of $31,000.
Move to approve items 1, 2, 3, and 4, Judge.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C, for the 2012 Sheriff's Office 1284 account, approval of budget amendment to appropriate grant award for $43,101. That's under the SCAP State Alien Criminal Assistance Program.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under item D, under number 1, authorization to purchase 4 cell phone line additions through the county's membership participation with contract DIR SDD 1780 through Sprint.
Who keeps track of these lines?
Our budget clerk.
Budget clerk?
Yes, sir.
Move to approve items 1 and 2.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye,
Just-
motion carries.
If I may, please, Commissioner Judge, on item number 2 on the chart where it says Quality 4 Business Advantage Messaging and Data 200 Plan, there was a typo. Instead of 4959, it should actually read 4559. All the rest of the calculations are correct to include the quotation through DIR.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Under item E, Sheriff's Office Operation Stone Garden Grant 1284. Number 1, authorization and approval to accept an extension for the 2010 Operation Stone Garden Grant. The new termination date is 2/28/13, which the prior grant termination date was 10/31/12.
Move to approve items 1, 2, Judge.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, thank you.
Item 11,
Good morning, Judge Commissioners, and Merry Christmas and season's greetings to everyone. On item 11A, sir, there is no discussion today.
Baldi, can you check to see if Joseph is back there?
Item 11B, sir, I just want a point of clarity from the hearing real quick. On those dish rep program items that we talked about, Hidalgo County has nothing to do with that. That really has to deal with the IGT provider. So really, our county, the only responsibility our county has to deal with the uncompensated care, the 8.25 million that are invested for this coming year for uncompensated care. The other funding that's coming in from IGT are from other funding sources beyond the county. So just for clarity. Item C, if I may go forward, sir. Item C, Health Administration, approval to appropriate Health Administrative budget in the amount of $340,000 for the period of 001-2013 to 12/31/2013. And item 2 is approval of the salary schedule involved with that. That is our annual program income budget allocation we have for the following year. And we have several items that
Those
we
in
looked at.
favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item D is the hearing we did. Item E, requesting approval to submit grant application for JBS International, funding an amount of $50,000. And just
Those in
for
favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Go on to F, please.
Okay. On item E, there is no matching funds, just for the record. Item F is consideration and approval of contract for outstanding assigned specialists in healthcare facilities at Knapp Medical, Mission Hospital, et cetera. And this is in regards to our indigent healthcare specialists that are there to assist with providing assessments and applications for indigent services at those facilities.
Move to approve, Judge.
And who pays for these?
These are county employees. But this is just an agreement. It's basically like an interlocal or an agreement between hospital and the county that they will provide the office space and the location for the employee to be there.
Eddie, they used to pay, right? The hospital used to pay these individuals or not?
That happened in the previous program, how it used to happen before, but for us to come in compliance with some of the direction, in fact, I think it came from your office too, is where these are county employees.
So the county pays for this individual?
Yes, these are county employees.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much.
You already got that budgeted, right?
Pardon me?
It's already in the budget.
Yes, sir, this is already in the budget. It was just because of the interlocals between or the agreements between hospitals, and it's been reviewed by legal counsel. Steve reviewed it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 12. Is somebody here from Facilities Management?
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Rick Sunday, Infrastructure Systems Manager. I believe this is the item where the ARB fire protection, when they were out and about checking the fire extinguishers, they realized that they needed inspected. And they went ahead and did the inspection. Come to find out thereafter, inspection services aren't on their contract.
I need approval to pay that amount.
Yes, sir.
Move to approve.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Item 13, Urban Counties.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Our first item on the agenda is a request for the approval of an amendment number 1 to a professional engineering service contract with Lefevre Environmental and Management Consulting. This is for a project with the Texas Department of Agriculture, contract number 711245. The amendment will increase the contract amount by $8,219 for a total amount of $52,219. This, of course, is for the construction testing.
Was the amendment attachment?
I beg your pardon?
The amendment was not attached to the agenda that's been provided to,
I believe so. I
Building
did not have an auditor's concern. It would be.
Okay.
I'd have to say yes.
'Cause I don't think we saw it there attached to the agenda item, but you
There-
can provide it to them.
So why is there an increase?
The increase is so that the engineering firm can do the testing of materials.
But that wasn't part of the proposal.
It wasn't part of the proposed original contract.
Okay.
This
Move to
was
approve.
required after.
Check. Has legal reviewed that agenda, the amendment?
Yes.
Yes.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 is consideration and approval to authorize the county judge to sign any and all documents associated with the TDA contract 711245. This includes amendments, change orders, requests for payments, etc.
Move.
Those
Second.
in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Our next item is requesting the authorization to dispose of community development block grant records, and this includes the financial records for programs years 1988 through 2001.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, item C is requesting the exemption from competitive bidding requirements under the Texas Local Government Code 262.024A4 for geotechnical and construction material testing.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Item C2 is a presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court of at least 3 of the firms. The firms evaluated were Robert Kisner Consultants with a grade of 96.33, Terracon Consulting Engineers with a grade of 93.67, and Professional Services Industries with a grade of 92.67. The evaluators were the City of Weslaco, the Hidalgo Urban County Program, as well as the Purchasing Department, and this is for a project in Weslaco for water and sewer
Move to
improvements.
approve the scoring grid as presented.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 3 is the authority to negotiate the professional engineering service contract with the highest ranked firm, in
Move to
this
approve.
case, Robert Kisner.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item
Thank you.
14, right away.
Well, I have one more,
One more.
Judge, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Sorry.
Item D is on behalf of the City of Sullivan City, requesting consideration and action to award and enter into construction contract with 2DS LLC for the 2004, 2005, 2012 street improvement project in the amount of $271,796.25. And as I syndicated, this is for street improvements in
Move to
Sullivan
approve.
City.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, I'm done now, Judge. Thank you.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Item 14,
Judge Joe Peña, Right-of-Way Department. 14A, ratification of earnest money contract approved by Commissioners Court on October 30th, 2012. Precinct 4 Drainage Project, Lot 19, Horn Drive.
Move to approve.
Second.
those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
B, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under the Texas Local Government Code 262.023 and 262.024A6, Lot 19, Horn Drive, for Precinct 4 Drainage Project.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And C, authorization to issue a check to Valley Land and Title Company in the amount of $16,844.52 for the closing of this parcel on the above-mentioned project after review and auditing procedures completed by the
Those in
county.
favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 15, planning.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Raul Sin, Planning Administrator. First item is an agenda preliminary approval, Moreno subdivision Phase 3. This is a 18-lot subdivision located in the ETJ of McAllen, and it has been approved by the city for that. So everything's in order for preliminary.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Next item is final approval, Texas State subdivision, Precinct 4. This one, it's a 70-lot subdivision located southeast corner of Texas and Cesar Chavez Road. It has gone through the whole approval process for the city of Edinburgh and has received approval. It has also been approved by the various county departments, has been fully constructed, and just want to point out that they did extend storm sewer half a mile to the nearest drain ditch here, so this subdivision is being provided with
Do you
storm
want to
sewer.
cover A, B, C, and D?
If you like, Judge, I would be more happy to do
I think
that.
there's no issue with any of them that I know
No,
of.
sir, it's been all reviewed by the pertinent county departments. It's also been approved by the city in the ETJs is located,
Move to approve
and
items A,
everything's
B,
been
C, and D,
addressed.
Judge.
Those in favor, do I have a second? Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
And the last one, Judge, is final approval of Sander Village subdivision. It's a one-lot subdivision, has received approval from the city, and the escrow is for $1,500 cash deposit for the
Those in favor
septic tank.
indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Merry
Thank you,
Christmas.
sir. Item 18, budget.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. 18A, Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget Management. Item 18A, 1 and 2 is discussion, consideration, and approval on the effective date of the cost of living adjustment. Option 1 would be to make the effective date December 31st, 2012. And option 2 would be to make it effective the first full pay period of 2013, which would be January 14th, 2013. And this is to avoid having to do a proration of salaries by the County Treasurer's Office and then also from our office. So we're requesting that we make the effective date of the cost of living adjustment either the 31st of this month or the 14th of January 14th.
Move to approve to make the 31st.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Okay, so there'll be action on 1 and 2 will be no action. Item 18B1 is approval of certification of revenues and appropriation of those funds into the public. Yes, sir.
Excuse me. If make it effective on the 31st, is it going to impact?
It will impact this year's budget. We will have to transfer funding for that one day for the cost of living for all departments, and we'll put that item on next Commissioners Court on the 28th. We'll put the funding for this on the 28th, and the impact to the county would be $10,200.
Yeah, but
So it's a minimal impact.
What are you recommending? What is normally done?
I would recommend that we do it effective the 31st.
Well, we'd have to prorate, right?
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes.
Makes sense.
All right, well, it's already been done, so move on.
Yeah, because the proration is not actually what it was going to happen. You're going to have to do a break.
Yes, we would have to do.
One day at a different rate than the other.
Doesn't make sense.
Item 18B again was a certification of the revenues and appropriation of the public defense funds in the amount of $467,710. And these are for legal service expenditures for indigent defense. That's item 18B1, A and B.
To approve.
Check.
How did our year compare?
It was a lot better than last year. We were significantly lower. The court appointments to the public defender's office were increased this year, so we had significant savings. I can prepare a full report for the court for the 28th.
Sergio, this is going to allow me to issue checks because we stopped issuing checks on the indigent defense.
Excuse me?
This is on the indigent defense.
These are on the indigent defense vouchers, so this will be to finish out the year on those legal claims.
So we'll be able to do that for the entire remainder of the year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There's a motion and a second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 18B2, items A and B is approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor and appropriation of those funds into the Precinct 3 Drainage Improvement Project in the amount of $296,053.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. Have a Merry Christmas.
Likewise.
Thank you. Item 19, purchasing.
Yes, Martha Salazar for the Purchasing Department. 19, nothing to report or action to be taken on 19A, 1, 2, A, B, and C. Item 3, acceptance and approval of contract number 130A with Elite Transportation awarded on November the 27th for the provision of Hidalgo County dead body pickup and transport services. There is a concern by the auditor's office. Let me give you the facts on this. We awarded this contract back on November 27th. The prior vendor's contract on a 60-day grace period was ending last Wednesday. We discussed it with the DA's office since they oversee this contract. Ms. Josephine felt that for the health and safety of the residents and any other obligations that are statutory for the removal of dead bodies, especially if they're ordered by a JP, that we activate the contract last Thursday, the 13th. We had already awarded. What was left was for the actual approval of the contract document. She was comfortable with that action, and she approved the contract as to
So what's the concern, ma'am?
The concern is that the date was retroactive And normally, any contracts, the effective date is when the court approved it. And in this case, was effective December the 13th.
It became activated on the 13th. That's why she felt comfortable by leaving the date on there. And it had been awarded on the 27th. We had a contract at that point.
Once the court awarded the bid, it becomes an active contract.
Now, we do have,
Yes, it does.
So it was awarded on the 13th, but it sounds
And
later,
she-
is that what you're saying?
What I'm
No,
saying
no.
is, anytime there's a bid announcement and the court awards a bid, that the date of award establishes a legal contract under law.
Well, we can't stop the service.
she said, well, number one, what she said, today's date is the approved date. But within, I think, second page, she allowed the insertion of the activation date of 13th of December. Because that's when the DA's office, and she signed off on that contract as it was written.
And Commissioner, normally what happens is court awards a bid, selects the vendor, and then court then later on takes action to approve the contract. That's the normal sequence of events that normally takes.
But you're evidencing the
legally-
document.
Legally, when the court accepts the bid, that it creates a legal contract.
Vote to
at that
approve.
time.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 4 is acceptance and approval of an amendment to contract number 201 with GAS Enterprises. And this is for the Precinct 1 design and construction of the new Constable building to extend the time. And also there's additional fee for the services in that extended time.
Vote to approve.
Those in, is there a second?
Now, was
Those
that
in favor
A4, Marty?
indicate-
A4.
JS? Because
Those in
there's no
favor
funding in
indicate by
place.
saying aye.
Sergio,
We've made that known to the.
Oh, so you already got some funding?
It's
All right. Okay,
subject to that funding being in place. All right, 5 is approval.
Hold on. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Go ahead,
Item
Marty.
5 is approval of an exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262-024A6, which is land right-of-way. May I have that exemption approved,
Vote
please?
to approve.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We're requesting approval of a short-term lease agreement for 181 days between Hidalgo County and Patriot Bank out of Houston of 9,000 square feet at $1.25 a square foot for the purpose of temporary housing for the Urban County program, subject to legal review and insurance, all insurance requirements being submitted and met by the lessor, Patriot Bank, commencing January 1st.
Move to approve, but this will be temporary, right, Marty? Because
It's only 181 days.
well, and then what I would hate to see is for you to come back and try to extend.
I hope I don't have to come
well,
back,
it's-
Commissioner. This is while
Unfortunately-
the renovations on the North 10th building
Okay.
take place.
Marty, what about the concerns that we had, that there was some lacking documentation?
Correct.
And also the funding was not in place?
There is partial funding in place through the Urban County program. DBM has been made aware that the rest of the funding would have to be, any shortfall will be needed. In addition, I placed on the agenda a draft that has already been approved for recent leases. Those will have to be filled in once Patriot Bank sends us all the information requested.
Ms. Sedman, you need to be out of your facility by the end of the year, correct? Okay.
Sergio, so the funding you already had put in place, or you will put in place?
So the day she starts operating out there, the funding will be there.
Correct.
It's a motion, Judge.
And she'll be using part of her funding that she has for 2013, and they will supplement the difference.
They'll start
Those
paying
in-
for that? Okay.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under Precinct 2, we have a request to exempt from competitive bidding requirements for professional service, 262-024A4.
Vote to approve. Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B is presentation of the scoring grid of the 3
Move to approve
evaluated.
the scoring grid is presented.
Okay, in the order of their scores,
Yes,
correct, Commissioner?
Correct.
All right, those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
No. Authority for the purchasing department to negotiate with R.E. Gutierrez
Move
Engineering.
to approve.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We're requesting approval of a supplemental agreement number 1 for R. Gutierrez, contract number 310, resulting in an estimated cost of $5,000
Move to approve.
under work authorization 5.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We're asking for an increase in PO number 683499 in the amount of $19,918.97 for the proposed baseball park lighting project in Lopezville for Precinct 2. The added lighting for the walking trail in the same location. That's what it's for.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And if you'll permit me, here we go. Item B is consideration and approval of an irrevocable directive of draw proceeds disbursement agreement as required and as a condition precedent to issuing payment and performance bonds by bonding company, insurance indemnity company, contract surety for Herrera and Hunt for the baseball park lighting project in Lopezville, and thus directing all contract funds to Acon Incorporated Disbursement Agent located at 624 West University, PBM, Denton, Texas, for Herrera and Hunt.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
The tax office is requesting approval of Hidalgo County's Commissioners Court of an exception to the Hidalgo County Purchasing Policies and Procedures, Article 802.01, that requires at least 3 quotes, verbal or telephone, for requisitions of $1,000 but less than 5, demonstrating the county's the department's due diligence in complying with Hidalgo County's purchasing policies and procedures, including authority to issue payments to vendor Pitney Bowes for Hidalgo County Tax Office.
Move to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
B is acceptance and approval of invoice as stated on the agenda for Pitney Bowes in connection with yearly repair and maintenance agreements for 2 out of 3 Pitney Bowes standalone folder and folder inserter machines.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C is requesting an exemption from competitive bidding requirements under 262-024A-7A, an item that can only be obtained from one source due to proprietary nature of the machine.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
D, approval of sole source declaration with authority to purchase yearly repairs and maintenance agreements
Move to approve.
Second.
for those machines.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
On D, for the Sheriff's Office, requesting, we're going to present the quotes received from Commercial Kitchen as further detailed in the tabulation sheet and anything contained herein for the maintenance and repair of kitchen equipment and
approve.
appliances.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E, requesting clarification and approval to amend the sole source declaration previously approved December 20th of 2011 with Wiedenhammer Systems Corporation for the continuous services of Alio
Move to
maintenance
approve.
and support.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Approval to pay the annual maintenance and support under Alio with Wiedenhammer, rather,
approve.
$38,270.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Merry Christmas to all.
Likewise, Mayor.
Thank
Need a
you.
motion to proceed to executive session
There's
pursuant to
another-
551-071 and 072.
Second.
Judge, I think, Diana,
Sure?
Just want to clarify, we have to be out of a building January 31st, but we'll have this 1-month period to move
Oh,
everything out.
great.
Thank you. And Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you.
likewise.
Motion
Second.
carries. We're now proceeding to executive session. Ándale. We're back in open session. Item 21A. Is there anything there?
Thank you, Judge.
No
Commissioners.
action.
No real estate
There
acquisition,
is-
no pending or potential litigation?
Yes, sir, there is none. Item 21C, claim of Valdemar Moreno. Judge, Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $205.68.
Move to approve.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D, claim of Maria A. Alvarez and Miguel Alvarez Jr. Judge, Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $7,500, and with the court's permission, a check, if accepted, a check payable to Maria, $6,475 for the property damage, and to Miguel, $1,025 for BI.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And under the claim of Jose Viela, I'd like settlement authority to make an offering in the amount of $2,500 if accepted, with those proceeds to go to Jose Viela and Longcor and Associates.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 21F, civil action number 712 CV 00502, Carla Davis versus Hidalgo County. Judge Commissioners, I'd like to refer back to items 7A1 and 2. 1, request an exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code Section 26202-4A4, professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation. I could have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 7A2, request an engagement with the law firm of Atlas and Hall and Rodriguez for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit letter of engagement as it pertains specifically to civil action number 712 CV 00502, Carla Davis versus Hidalgo County.
Move to approve.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That's all we have, that's all I have
Move to
today.
adjourn.
Judge, if I may, I'd like to wish all members of the court and all county employees and the three members of the news media, wish you to have a nice Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Very appropriate, Commissioner.
Judge, Commissioners, I did, just as a disclosure, I know we've disclosed this before, but we do have the media here in the audience. Our last Commissioners' Court will be held next week on Friday, the 28th of December, and 9 and 9:30 a.m. respectively for the Drainage District and the county.
All right. Need a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen.
You have a safe trip next week. God bless you.